Hello everyone, welcome back to the schoolroom, and we are talking about day 5, so grade 1, pattern sort. Usually you would have gone over what the patterns are on day 1, right? So for us, pattern sort day, that's the 5th day of the week, because we have a 6-day learning week, is Friday. So we refer back to our list, right? And usually we've made some notes about patterns that we saw, and I've usually pulled any relevant phonics cards for my Mott Media phonics cards. We've already looked over these before. We looked at our wall chart and we've looked in the book. I refer to the wall chart a lot, but just because you can't see the wall chart, I'll just pull the book over. Right, so we see that the vowel digraph EA, making the long E. So we can also make a short E, right? And then also can make a long A. I've just made notes to myself here. But in this case, it's showing the E. They're writing ways that they can, we can make the long E sound. So you can basically make the long E sound through what they're showing us here. We can see that there are vowel, well, you can call them vowel teams, right? Or digraphs. Just means 2 pictures in E&A. And then, we have, what do we have? We have EE, and we have EA, but both of them have, right? We're just hearing one long E. And then we have a CVC word there, right? So CVC word, or I like to just give them the terminology right away that that's a closed syllable. We also sometimes call those CVC words, or it can just be a VC, a vowel and a consonant, right? And that would give us a short vowel sound, short, like in bed, right? And then we've got I always call them bossy E's. You may call them silent E's, or, and I let them know it's silent. Magic E's, people call these different things. So, yes, we might just review those. You may want to, if you have the ABCs and all their tricks, I mean, if you want to, you may just pull that open. EA is a vowel team for long E. It is used mainly within the root, but it can also come at the end. In a few Latin words, the team breaks up as in reality. Most of our long E sounds are spelled with EA or EE. It also is a team for short E. There's no way for the eye to tell which sound is spelled by a given EA. The reader must be prepared to use whichever sound makes sense in the context in which the EA appears. So words have EA as in meat. These words are not counted under long E, page 108. Okay, yeah, they give it its own section. So yeah, they're just focusing on ways that you can spell E, long E sound. Okay, so that's really all it's telling you. So you don't have to make a big deal about it, but it's good to read that, especially on the first day. So you can just, however many patterns you have, right? You can, and I don't know, my kids like to use a tool. So, you know, if I can let them use a ruler, like that's good. Plus, it's just like building up some skills. They'll be needing to use rulers and math and things, right? Or drawing. And then everyone likes a little color. You can do it this way. You can say vowel teams, right? EE and EA. And then we did see a closed syllable word in there. CVC or VC. And we did see a bossy E in there, or silent E. And then we have, so then they just go through and sort them. So blear. Okay, yeah, that's a vowel team. It's a EA vowel team. So they may write blear. Spear, right? And you can do these, you could call this out to them out of order, you know, and spell it out. But I mean, as far as them being independent workers, I just let them work through it as well as they can. Spear, smear, and I always try to encourage them to sound it out, spell it out phonetically as they're writing it. Dean, Dean, bean, bean. And then bed, don't get tripped. Bed, oh, that's a closed syllable, short vowel. Bed. Then it goes back to beam. Still in the EAs. Lean. Lean. And mope. Oh, bossy E word. Mope. Mold. Ooh, this is rando. Mold. That's different. It's a long O. It's looking like an anomaly. This is actually called an allophony. So I read an article on it. It says, a factor which contributes to the confusion is that there are two major allophones, or phonetic variants, right? Maybe we'll just call these ones phonetic variant. Okay, so like mold, it's not falling into any of these, and it's actually a phonetic variant. But it is a pattern though, right? Because we see other words like that. Okay, so we got to mold now. Tore, so that would be a bossy E. Robe. And poke. Right, so grade 1, you've now sorted them into their patterns, right? This one, it is a pattern, but it's a phonetic variant pattern. And there's only one that McGuffey threw in there. So that would be level 1. Now let's move on to level 3. So this one, it's giving you slightly different. It says write words, divide the syllables, mark all diacritical marks, and note spelling patterns that apply to each. So this is a little more in depth, right? So let's write our spelling words. So we had deny, rely, dynasty. I'm gonna make the list a little bit shorter. And hyena, anti-type. Okay, right words, done. Divide the syllables. I do like to look at them or just have it ready to go just in case I need to look at it. Can you imagine your child, they find their lesson, they open it up, right? Like, they're working, they're studying these words. Okay, so divide syllables. So they're like, apply, right? So they're like, I think it's there. Deny, I think it's there. Rely, I think it's there. Type, it's just one. Dynasty, dynasty. Anti-type, anti-type. Okay, so then I would just say, I would have them be in the habit of checking it. So I see, I did it wrong. They split that double P up, apply, apply. Okay. Deny, okay. Rely, type. Dynasty. Yep. And then anti-type. Okay, good. All right, so mark all diacritical marks. They also, this little, this is an accent mark right here. It's telling you what syllable is accented. Remember the schwa, if you have a word with schwa in it, like dynasty. So die, that's the accented syllable. No, that's why you get you're only going to get the schwa on an unaccented syllable. So, where was I? Divide syllables. Okay, mark all diacritical marks. So, apply. So you heard the right? We don't say apply. So that's the schwa. Apply. And then that's the accented syllable, and ply. Y, making the I sound, has this, I always call it a flat hat, as I tell the kids, it has a flat hat. Okay, D, ni. So we know it's a long E, ni. And they call this regular long sounds of Y. So this is called the long Y. Re, D, ni. Second syllable is accented, re, lie. Second syllable is accented, type. So that's a long Y, and this is a silent E at the end, so we just do a little sh, right? Die, long Y, na, we already got the schwa, sti. Okay, and just as far as I know, there is no diacritical mark for a Y at the end. It sounds like an E. When I look back in the McGuffey book, he has this table of substitutes. And he's got a Y as a long I with the macron over it. He's got Y as a short I with the, I don't know how to say it, is it brev? And then, yeah, that's it. I've never been able to find anything for Y at the end that has a diacritical mark over it, even though it says E. So you can either choose to just like leave that as is, just leave it blank, or you could do the sounds like long E, like that over it. Okay, N, T, so that's an I that sounds like an E, right? And T. I think that's because that comes, I believe that's a Latin base there. Let's see what it says. So if we have I, this is just in case I didn't know what the symbol was, I would just refer back to that, that table I was just looking at. Yeah, so if they came to something like anti, which, yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure is from Latin, so it may not be following English rules, but if you wanted just to know the diacritical mark for it, for an I that sounds like a long E, you can go back to that table of substitutes. So so look where it, you see the sound, long E is in police, right? It just is an I, it has the two little dots over the top. I'm not sure what that's called, but your dot dot. It's funny because he uses that symbol too for a broad A that says ah, right? Like in wall, but it says ah when it's over the A, and when it's over the I is saying E, right? Anyway, so if you didn't have those memorized, I mean, I'd have no problem if my student just wrote what it sounds like. Sounds like long E, which is fine for me too. All right, anti, and then type. So a Y, again, that sounds like a long I. You could look that up here. So just look for a long I. So you see fly, and there's a long I. They have the macron over it. Type, right? And then this E is silent. Okay, so back to my list. So they worked through, they looked up their diacritical marks here. And if you're using this book, I mean, I try to stay just as close to how McGuffey was using these. Sometimes I see things kind of different in more modern resources, but as long as it makes sense to your student and it's helping with their understanding, I just use whatever resource you're working in, use what they use, so it makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so so we just did that. And then we're back to, and then I would like check it to make sure it matches. Note spelling patterns that apply to each, all right? So this one had, so this is when they get to really do, like they probably did this on Monday. Let's say you hadn't, because he is going more on sounds. Like this is how you can spell an I sound using a Y. Right, that's really what he's focusing on in his speller here. So this is one I would just look through, because if what we're trying to do is look up spelling rules, is just go back to look through here, go to the spelling rules and see what applies. right? Or whatever, you're looking through. There's so many resources. I don't mean to make you dizzy, but there's so many out there. I have got a bunch because I was super interested in spelling and how to teach it. So I ended up with a bunch of stuff. So here's my white card. You can see it as a consonant, and then you see it here as a vowel. So in baby, I'm taking the E, and the fly, I. That's what we see here. We see both of those. We see in dynasty and then fly. So they say they have it on their wall chart, and you could look at the ABCs, page 280 to 288. So they could read about the letter Y. The letter Y serves as both a consonant and a vowel. And then the three basic sounds of Y as a vowel are long I, short I, and long E. Y is short within the syllable, as in gym and symbol. Oh, do we see anything like that in our list? Within the syllable. I don't see any, this says type, but it's saying I. I think because there's a bossy E at the end. That's why it's saying that. So that doesn't apply to anything. We don't have any I. But like if it was the word myth, then we see that, right? We see that making the short I sound, which I believed it was the brev, or I don't know how to say that. Is it brev or breve or breve? I don't know. Probably like breve. It sounds like something my ballet teacher would have said. When it is the only vowel letter in the root of the word and is the very last letter. So we see that here in deny, right? And apply, rely, we see that. This one is saying E. So the student might say, well, why is this saying E? It's at the end, and these are saying I, and this is saying E, like what's different? So let's read through that one slowly again. When it is the only vowel letter in the root of the word, and is the very last letter of the word. So it's the very last letter, but it must not, when is it the only vowel letter in the root of the word? Is it the only vowel letter in the root of the word? No, there's an A here. I think that dynasty, so you may be like, is it in the root of the word? Anyways, if they wanted to do a deep dive of the word dynasty, because I would just be assuming that it must not be in the root word, then a place to look would be just some kind of etymology. Like, I have an app. I would show it to you, but it's on my phone, which I'm filming on. I have an etymology map. So I would just assume that it's not in the root word. Anyway, so they could go through there, note spelling patterns that apply to each, right? So by grade 6, they could be writing that out, last Y in last position, right? And then this one's got something different, etymology. Okay, so if they want to. Not in root word, right? So if it didn't fit that pattern, it must be because it didn't meet one of their criteria to make the I sound. Anyway, so I think you kind of see this one is a little bit more involved, and this is, for me and my system of doing things with them, they are doing spelling up through this level, and then I transitioned them over to vocabulary. Here's actually one of our vocabulary books right here. And we have vocabulary. We use this with a weekly vocabulary packet. If somebody wants me to go through these at some point, I would be happy to. I use it in conjunction with the Latin root words books 1 and 2. I love these books. These are dead helpful. But again, I kind of feel like it's like with just a lot of things, there's just not enough. I feel this about like math fact books and stuff. There's not enough activities in the book for my child to master it, only doing these couple things. So that's why I created these weekly packets. So every lesson lasts a week for us. And then I have a week worth of assignments, daily assignments, you know. This one he's still working on. And anyway, so this in my sequence, which I'll link my sequence down below, my language art sequence, so you can see like this fits into my sequence well. This is a good transitioning them into studying vocabulary, right? Which goes, they expect you to kind of have the basic, you know, spelling patterns pretty well down, and then now we're moving even deeper into language. So this is like dipping into that here, right? We're dipping. Okay, so then they would be on to spelling test. Okay, so I think I only did 2. Did I skip one? I feel like I skipped a level. I think I skipped level 3. So write words in a column, skipping lines, divide into syllables. You saw me do that. Mark vowels with diacritical marks. Underline diphthongs, right? So something like meal. We'd say, oh, that's a long E. Those are making their normal sounds. Slash silent letters. We've seen that. Mark accented syllables. You saw that. Circle any affixes. So if it was, even if it was meals, right, that would be an affix. You're modifying the word. Square any base word segment. And you've seen us do that in previous things. It's just, they're just studying the word very deeply. Write words in a column. Yeah, skipping lines so you can make all your stuff. So yeah, if you saw something like gentle, J, that's a soft G. I think it's a J, brev, breve over the short E, and tull, right? That's a silent E on the end, but it's gentle. It's actually 2 syllables. You get the ul sound. So you hear a vowel sound when you go between the T and the L, but you have to see it. You have to see a vowel in English in a syllable. So that's why they stick the E on there, but it's silent. Gentle. And then there's no affixes on there. Let's see, let's find one with more. What about dress, ing? What if you had a word like that, right? So dress would be the base word. And ing are affixes. Short, ing kind of has that kind of over it because it's a glued sound, ing. It's kind of making an E sound. We've got the floss rule here, so you might know there's a floss rule. We saw it with the double S after an S after a short vowel. Okay, so you can see how you could build out from there. Something else that I do like to do on this day, I don't think I mentioned it, is, especially when they start getting into the higher levels, is if they have a word list on there and they can think of other words that fit, like ask them to think, can you think of a word that has the same spelling pattern, right? And sometimes they're just looking at the word and they can just, like before when we had the word cold, we had that anomaly, that O preceding an L says O. And there was only one, right? Or I can't remember. Oh, maybe it was mold. But you could say, oh yeah, we also have mold, told, fold, right? That they could easily note sometimes just by looking at it if they just changed a word, even just the word old, right? Be so bold. You know what I mean? So that's a good one to try to add on to this day as well, I think, is can they apply that? Can they think about that pattern and come up with more words? Sometimes, I mean, when they're really young, I tried to do that even in like grades 1 and 2. I would like maybe write a couple words that I came up with and ask them, do these ones also, like which one of these words also fits that pattern? So, I mean, be flexible with your patterns. Okay, so be flexible with your packets is what I meant to say. Okay, so they could do, I mean, they can do sorts all types of ways too. They could also, you know, just go through and highlight everything that's the same pattern with one color. And if there was another pattern, highlight that one. Sometimes they have 2. Maybe you underline the word that fits a pattern with one color. If it has 2 patterns in it, underline it, you know, under that with a different color. So let the kids be have some choices. I mean, I feel like it's helpful too when you're like giving assignment and work and even like chores around the house or whatever. Like give them like 2 choices or 3 choices or something, or let them have some leeway with how they mark the patterns, just as long as I can look at it and understand it. But because even though they're still doing what you're asking them to do, but if they have the choice to do it, have a couple of choices, it really gives them some feeling of ownership over their work. And I just think that's really helpful. It's been helpful for my family. Okay, that's it for today. I'm probably going to make a couple other quick videos about some other add-on stuff. Okay, I'll talk to you soon.